Well, Karl Burke, always a pleasure to come down to Spigot Lodge, see how things are going on here in Leyburn. Real spring in your step this morning, not only due to Liverpool making the final of the Champions League, but the horses are going exceptionally well. Form from the all-weather, the winter campaign, really seems to have translated already into your early spring horses. How are you shaping up so far?
Yeah, like you say, we had a great winter. Horses performed really well. All the big horses that we ran did the job, and that's carried on into the turf. We haven't ran that many on the turf yet. You know, we've only scratched the surface really of what we've got to go with. So, fingers crossed we can keep it going.
Early signs are very positive. Obviously, a major winner at Newmarket first time out. Dramatized made a very big impression. Very impressive first time out. What were you expecting? How's she been since that striking victory?
She's a high class filly. She's a very fast filly. She'd had a little gallop at Way Day at Newcastle with a few of our other fillies that have ran and either won or ran very well since, and she performed well that morning. We knew we were going there with a good horse, but you know, 2-year-old's first day at school, you never know what's going to happen. But she did the job very well.
And a family that you know really well, isn't it? You trained her down.
Yeah, she was a very good filly that I bought down at Letes quite cheaply. She ended up winning the Empress Stakes on a second run.
Katie's Diamond.
Katie's Diamond, yeah. She bolted up first time at Redcar, and she was the first horse after the Redcar race. She was sold to Sheikh Fahd and was the first runner in the Qatar colours for us. She was very unlucky. She ran in the Marcel Boussac, ran very free with Andrea Azzini down to the start that day. Ran very free in the race and still only got beat 2 lengths by a Aiden filly called Ballydoyle, who was a very good filly. So, and I'm not saying she'd have won a Guinness or anything, but she'd have ran very well in a Guinness. She was that type of horse, but she picked up an injury through the winter, and unfortunately that was her finish for her career.
But Dramatized, very ready to win first time out. She went just a little bit to the left on the Rolly Mile there. Is that kind of a Newmarket thing? It was the first day at school for her?
Yeah, you say she was very ready. We never overdo our 2-year-olds. They're always, I like them always to come up, step forward for a run rather than go backwards. So it's very, very rare that we really wind one up for its first run, and she certainly wasn't. But she's naturally a very forward-going filly. Danny Tudhope had ridden her a couple of times at home and made the comment that she's too fast, which I'd never heard a jockey say before. But you know, that's the type of feel she was giving him and watching her. So I think it was just she looking at the screen when she hit the front, and at the same time she was running downhill into the dip. So you know, you can forgive her all those things, and you know, you can actually see Danny was half propping forward. She was propping running up to the line, and you know, there's loads of improvement in her.
And wrap her up now and wait for the middle of June. Queen Mary, the plan?
Yeah, definitely. The Marygate was in our thoughts, sort of leaning into the Newmarket. But just the type of filly she is, I think a 2-week turnaround for York and the lead up at York, etc., big crowd, probably not the right thing for her at this stage. So I'd rather sort of just prepare her straight for Queen Mary.
And you've no shortage of ammunition for the Dantier Festival. Focusing on the Marygate itself then, you've got certainly at least a couple lined up for that race. Yassart, she put that debut experience to good use when winning at Pontefract.
Yeah, she made a debut also at Newmarket at the Craven meeting. She was all over the winner. I was a furlong out. I thought we'd absolutely bolted up, and then she just got collared on the line by a nice filly of Richard Hannon's. She stepped forward and went and beat 3 unraced colts. Not sure what she beat at Pontefract, but the word was, you know, quite good for those 3 colts anyway. But she used her experience well and did that job very well. She's come out of it in great form, and she'll go for Marygate for sure.
And she looked exceptional this morning when we saw her on the gallops. Jungle Time was another one, another early winner for you. She struck gold up at Musselburgh, travelling really strongly. She looks like a nice, tough early sort as well.
She did, yeah. She's a nice filly. She's by first crop sire Jungle Cat. He only had 16 foals. We've got 2 of them, and both of them have won. So he's a sire that can certainly produce a 2-year-old. So she's a nice filly, very straightforward. She stepped up on her debut second at Yarmouth, went to Musselburgh, and I wouldn't say she surprised me, but I was very pleased the way she did it. You know, she was very straightforward, and York will hold no fear for her, and it's a nice, easy, sharp 5 for her again. She deserves a chance.
One who may have surprised you, certainly if you're judging by the betting, Pillow Talk ran a huge race seemingly on debut. She was 18-1. What were you expecting from her, and just how pleased were you with that first time out effort?
Yeah, she's a nice filly. She was performing really well at home, but only just come into herself, and she ended up getting stall 1 at Nottingham. The owners had another horse in the race, so Danny decided to choose that one. Danny Tudhope. David O'Meara trains, and apparently they think a lot of her. You know, she was there obviously to do her best, but from stall 1, I thought it was an exceptional performance. The time was very, very quick. I think she and the winner both broke the previous juvenile track record, so that will show you what sort of performance it was. I think if she'd have had any sort of draw near the horses that the first and the third, which led most of the way, she would have won that race nicely.
So 3 very strong chances, it seems, in the Marygate at York. Elsewhere, you may run Late Crusader in the Duke of York Sprint Stakes.
Last Crusader, yeah, he'll go for the. No, Last Crusader will go for the Westo. He has got an entry in the Duke of York, but he'll go for the Westo, dropping back to 5. I don't think he's the finished article yet, or last year I'd have said we'd have been stepping up to 7. He's a big, long striding horse, but as he's got stronger, he seems to have got quicker. So we're quite keen to let him take his chance in the Westo, I think.
And Attagirl, another one that already has York winning form on the board.
Yeah, she won the listed Roses Stakes at the Ebor meeting last year for the Clipper Logistics. She's a good high-class filly, very quick, and she's a possible to line up in that race as well.
At the other end of the stamina spectrum, you've Al Kareem, more of a middle distance project.
Yeah, he's a horse stepping. He won over 7, actually, broke his maiden over 7 at Newcastle, albeit we knew that was taking a chance going down there, and made plenty of use of him. I thought he'd be certainly a mile and a quarter horse, but it looks as though he'll improve, and we'll find out next week at York. He could easily improve for stepping up to a mile and a half, and if that goes well, he'll head to Royal Ascot.
A horse last year that was seemingly quite a sharp, good early 2-year-old, but seems to have potentially progressed again. Corker looked like he ran quite a promising race first time out of Sandow. Could he appear at York?
Yeah, he's the aim for him is to go for the 3-year-old handicap. I think it's on the Friday. He was gelded through the winter, and he took it quite hard. So, you know, he still hasn't quite come back to himself. I think we're getting there now, and he certainly will come on for his first run. But whatever he does again at York, he'll come on again, and he could end up at Royal Ascot for the Holyrood 3-year-old 5 furlong race that we won with significantly last year. That looks a good plan for him.
Now we have to talk El Caballo. He seems to have developed a bit of not a cult following, but he's certainly a very popular horse, unsurprisingly given he's won 5 in a row now, and he really did tough it out, didn't he, at Newcastle on finals day? That was a high class performance as well.
I think so, yeah. He's a very good horse, and I don't think we've got to the bottom of him yet either. The race at York at Newcastle on Good Friday didn't really go as we wanted it to go. Early on he jumped quite clean. My other horse that I thought was going to make the run-in and should have made the run-in missed the kick, or was certainly ridden with a bit of patience, and consequently we never got any cover. El Caballo raced with the chokeout with the Space Cowboy of Richard Spencer's, which is a nice horse. So I think he did really well when he was challenged by the William Haggis's horse close home, but that just shows you what he has in reserve. And I know the Haggis horse will probably improve for stepping up, but Cliffs came back in, he couldn't pull our fella up. You know, he said this fella wants 7 all day long. But I still think we're quick enough for a well-run 6, and we'll head to the Sandy Lane at Haydock at the end of May, and that'll tell us whether we're going for a Commonwealth or whether we're dropping back in grade for something like the Jersey Stakes at Royal Ascot.
The aforementioned horse that finished just behind El Caballo was Caballo.
Yeah, Caballo. No, he's not. He's a lovely horse, Caballo. He carries a few little niggly physical issues with him, but he's a talented horse. Things didn't go right for him at Newcastle. He's definitely better than that. Not sure where we head with him just yet. We haven't got really a plan for him, but he's certainly a horse worth watching.
Some of the older brigade, Spycatcher, he's a horse, he tends to run his race just about every time. He's rated 100 507 now. What are the thoughts with him?
Yeah, he was very unlucky on Good Friday and Champions Day. He was the best horse in the race, really. suffers with his feet a little bit. We've had quarter cracks, etc., and we only just got him there right on the day. And I think just jumping out the stalls, maybe he was just thinking about his feet, and he just took a little while to warm up into the race. Got behind, and consequently he was drawn on the rail. Had no way through. Cliff had to make an early decision and the right decision to sort of come wide, but it just cost him the race really. If we'd have jumped in any fashion and got travelling early in the first furlong, I think we'd have ended up sitting mid-div or in behind the leaders, and I think he'd have been hard to beat on that day. So he could go for the Clipper Logistics Group 2 6 furlongs at York next week. He's also got an entry in a Group 2 in Ireland at the Curragh. Ground would be a key to him. I think he'd definitely want soft, good at fastest, but hopefully soft in the description before he goes anywhere.
A new recruit, relatively at least, White Lavender. I thought she was very impressive when she won First Time Out for You at Bath. Where do we go from here with her?
Yeah, she ran a lovely race there. She'd shown a lot of speed at home in her work, but probably wasn't finishing her gallops out as well as I'd liked. And whenever we dropped her in her work and rode her to finish, she was much better. So we were always going to drop her in at Bath and ride her to finish. The draw made her minds up, made that even easier decision to do. She was drawn very wide. Whether she was favoured by the ground, sometimes at Bath when it's soft, they come up the middle and it favours those doing that. But we were drawn out there, so we had no choice. We did that, and it worked brilliantly. She showed a real good turn of foot. I think she's obviously a very well-bred, speedy filly. Comes from a very fast family. She will be ground dependent though. She'll definitely won't run on anything that has to have soft in the description for her. She's got an entry in the Temple Stakes, and if the ground comes up soft, she'll go there, and hopefully we can get some Group Black type for her.